Hello everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter, and I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. Today is all about me jumping into the Pinkfresh Studio inks. Now these inks are not new on the market. They've been out for a while, but they're new to me. So I want to talk about a couple of things that made me jump into these inks. The first thing that I want to talk about is the tones that are available. I really like the fact that these Pinkfresh Studio inks come in several tones. Most of the ink colors, ink families come in 4 different tones. So you go all the way from a very light tone all the way to a deeper, darker tone. And that really intrigued me because it takes the guesswork out of having to figure out if the inks will match or if the inks will give you the gradient that you're looking for. So I really like that about the inks. The inks are also dye inks, which make them great for ink blending. And you know, ink blending is my jam. So that was another reason why I wanted to go ahead and jump into these inks. I've seen so many beautiful projects made with these Pinkfresh inks, and I thought I'd make one with you today. So let's get started. The very first thing that I do whenever I get any new inks is I label my inks and I make swatches for my swatch book. And to do this, I use some of the templates that are available on Jennifer McGuire's website. They're free downloads that she offers and they work out great. I use those templates to type up the names of the inks, and I print them out on full sheet sticker paper. So this is what you see me handling right here is a piece of sticker paper that I've cut down so that the label will fit on the side of the ink pad. I run that piece of sticker paper across the ink pad so that I know what the color looks like from the outside without ever having to see the ink pad or the top of the ink. And here I have all 4 of my green shades all labeled and ready to go. So for today's project, I'm going to be using some products from Pinkfresh Studio. I'm going to be using the butterflies, stencils, stamps, and dies. And what I just showed you was the corner of the stencils from Pinkfresh Studio. Number one, they're labeled because this particular stencil set is a 4-piece stencil set. So you can see there it says stencil 1. You can also see there are registration marks that work perfectly with an A2 size piece of paper. So I've placed my stencil down and I've secured my paper to that stencil with some mint tape. And now I'm ready to go in with my very first ink color, which is Ballet Slipper. So I'm starting off with this stencil set using the lightest pink shade. So I'm going to cover all the open spaces with that pink shade. And here we can see what that turns out looking like. So now it's time to put the second stencil in place, and I'm going to use those registration marks again to line my paper up so that the parts and pieces of the butterfly all come together and work together. So I've added my second ink color, which is Sparkling Rose. So I'm adding that now and filling in all of the open spaces just like I've done before. And this is going to come together and fill in a little bit more of that butterfly. So by the time I finish with this stencil, half of the butterfly will be colored in. And I really, really love these stencils from Pinkfresh Studio and using stencils in general because it makes quick work of being able to color in different images that you use them on. So now I'm coming in with the third color, which is Bubblegum. And you can see this is a little bit more intense and darker shade of pink. And it kind of is bright, very bright to me and kind of jumps off of the paper. So I peel that stencil back and look at what we're creating here. This is turning out to be such a lovely set of butterflies. And so now I've added that fourth and final color of Raspberry Bliss. And look at all these details you're able to get in the butterflies using these 4 different tones or shades of the Pinkfresh Studio inks. I just love it. So like I mentioned before, I'm going to be using the stamp on these butterflies as well. This is going to give a little bit more detail and definition to the parts and pieces of the butterflies. One of the things I like about this stamp is that it's all one piece, and that keeps me from being able to have to figure out where and line up each one of these little butterflies. The one piece stamp is the way to go with something like this. So I've used my VersaFine black ink to stamp the details on these butterflies. I stamped it twice, and now that really allows these butterflies to really come to life. You can see the different parts of the wings that have been shaded with those 4 different shades and tones of the Pinkfresh Studio inks. I really like the results that I was able to achieve with this. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the die to cut out these butterflies. So I'm going to bring in the die, and just like the stamp, the die is also one piece. So they really thought this out in making sure that using these images was simple and easy and almost fail-proof. So I went ahead and ran those butterflies through my die cutting machine with that coordinating die, and now I have all these beautiful butterflies cut, inked, and ready to go on my projects. One of the things that makes these inks beneficial is when you're using something like these butterflies, you ink up a lot of them, and if you only use 3 or 4 butterflies on a card, you have plenty of butterflies left to use for another project. So speaking of projects, let's go ahead and look at this finished card. Here you can see that I've used the butterflies along with a heart stencil and those Pinkfresh Studio inks, as well as the Perfect Sentiment foiling plate and dies also from Pinkfresh Studio. I really love the way this card came together, and I hope you do too. If you do like it, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. I'd love to have you join me here on a regular basis. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at The Delta Crafter, as well as on my website, thedeltacrafter.com. Thank you for joining me today, and as always, enjoy!